All right. The new animated series, Chicago Party Ant, debuts on Netflix September 17th. In it, Life with a Party, Diane and her gay nephew, Daniel, navigate life living together for the first time in romantic rejections. Rory O'Malley voices the role of Daniel. Thanks for joining us today, Daniel. I'm so
Thank
Rory.
you. That's fine. I go by Daniel too now.
So, what made you want to be part of this?
I love the script so much. The
Yeah,
writers are so great. It's such a funny story. The comedy is just totally outlandish and amazing. But really, at the end of the day, it has so much heart, and it's a
exactly.
love story between an aunt and her nephew, and I get to play the nephew, and he's a 18-year-old gay kid, so sweet and bright, but he's scared to go out into the world, just as like I was when I was 18 years old, and decides to take a gap year and not go to Stanford where he got into college, and instead stay in Chicago with his Aunt Diane, the Chicago party aunt, and learn a whole other different set of lessons that he wouldn't learn from a professor in Stanford. So I love the fact that this is a love story between an aunt and a nephew, because I had so many aunts who helped raise me,
Okay.
some that were related to me and some that were not. Just a pack of women who were like really hardworking ladies in Cleveland, where I grew up, and knew how to relax or party at the Irish pubs on the weekends.
Yeah, I started watching this last night. This is very, very funny.
Thank you. I agree. I think it's hilarious.
Were you surprised at how, I mean, were you surprised just how funny and multi-layered it was when you started reading it?
You know, I knew from the first script that the
Yeah,
writers were so good
yeah.
and that they loved Chicago and they knew what they were talking about. And when you have writers who know what they're talking about and they love the source of where, what the story is, you're in good hands. You know that it's going to be great. But sometimes when you're working on a project and it's really funny, you think, is this just funny to us? Like, are we just, like enjoying it like an inside joke? But every single person who's watched the show and the work that these amazing writers and creators have put out there has just fallen in love with it. Like I said, it's so funny, but really at the end of the day, you fall in love with these characters and they have a lot of heart. And Diane is going to be, in my opinion, Diane's going to be right up there with the likes of Homer Simpson, and is just such a hilarious, vibrant character.
Her adulting skills probably need a little bit of work.
Well, she does adult in her own way, for
Exactly.
sure, for sure.
How would you describe what all Daniel's going through?
Well, Daniel is, he's 18 and he's been raised by a mom and a dad who are very straight laced and strict and probably told him exactly what he had to do his entire life. He gets into Stanford. He's about to go and he realizes that he doesn't even know if he wants to go to Stanford. He doesn't know who he is. He's just been doing what everybody else told him to do. And his Aunt Diane has never done that. She is someone who doesn't care what anybody thinks and wakes up every morning just trying to have the most fun and to make sure that she's enjoying the most of that she can in her Chicago life. And so he wants to break out of his shell. So he decides not to go to Stanford, to take this gap year and to move in with his Aunt Diane and learn from her instead of a Stanford professor. And it's many different lessons, like keg stands and best places to go to meet guys.
I love their relationship. They seem so natural with each other. But can you just talk about what the give and take and what they learn from each other?
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, they're definitely opposites in
Hmm.
so many ways. Daniel is full of anxiety. He's scared of the world. He's 18, but he's, about to jump off into adulthood and he doesn't know what he's doing. And Diane jumps into every situation head first, doesn't look or ask questions. And I think that they learn from each other because obviously both ways are not best. You have to kind of make decisions, think about what you're doing. And I think that Diane learns a lot from her nephew, Daniel, who does love her and wants to take the time to help her. And also Daniel is just learning how to like be carefree and to enjoy himself and how to, kiss a stranger and, just let go. And that, of course, is just as important.
There are 8 episodes. Do you have a favorite?
I think the Halloween episode is my favorite. When Diane takes Daniel out to Boys Town to party. Because RuPaul's also in that episode. I mean, RuPaul's in a bunch of the episodes, but that's the most interaction that Daniel and Gideon, RuPaul's character, has. And obviously, I'm a huge fan of RuPaul.
Can you talk a little bit about having RuPaul part of this and just being able to interact with RuPaul?
Yeah, it was a dream come true. And I just mostly was begging for Drag Race spoilers. But, you know, totally professional. And let me tell you, I don't know if you're a big Drag Race fan, but like when the queens are up on the stage, if they can get Ru to laugh, it's like the biggest deal. If you're making Ru laugh, you're winning. Well, when we would do table reads and Ru would laugh at something that I said from the script, it was like I felt like I was winning Drag Race. I felt like it was to hear that iconic laughter coming your way is it was just a dream. And he's so good in the show and was so professional and did such a great job. So I'm pretty excited to get to be working with RuPaul.
Exactly. As I was watching this, I was thinking, when I was 18, I wish I had an aunt like this to sort of guide me this way or tell me I didn't have to do exactly everything that was expected of me. And I mean, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. Like I had a lot of amazing aunts, but none of them took me to a gay bar. I mean, it's kind of like next level to have somebody who loves you unconditionally, who wants to be there to hold your hand while you're making the mistakes, to help you make mistakes. And to be your friend, and it's obviously there's like always like a crossing a line between, what an aunt should and shouldn't do with a younger nephew. But I totally agree. I wish that everybody had an Aunt Diane in their life.
Exactly. Well, I have to ask you, I mean, I'm a big theater fan. We usually go to New York twice a year and see shows. Obviously, the last few years we haven't been. But can you talk a little bit about your theater background and how you grew to love theater?
Yeah, no, I was my first play was at Our Lady of Angels Catholic School. I played Saint Joseph in the Christmas pageant. My aunt was the director. And that's as far as my nepotism took me.
Okay.
Second grade in Cleveland. But I, fell in love with theater from that moment on. And I've been lucky enough to be a part of Broadway shows like 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, The Book of Mormon, which I was a part of the original company, and Hamilton. And now I'm in a production of Hamilton in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
We've been in performances for about 2 weeks now with the most grateful, amazing audiences that I've ever performed for in my life. And there are no words for the gratitude I have to be back on stage again.
I saw Hamilton when it came to Atlanta for the first time. And I was thinking to myself, can this really live up to its hype? And it does.
Yeah.
It really, really does.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's a lot of times I remember before I was in the show, I came to the show about 8 months into the Broadway run with the original cast. But even before that, I had friends who were traveling to New York and they said, these tickets are so expensive for the show Hamilton. Do you think it's worth it for me to buy this ticket? And I saw it off Broadway because I went to college with Leslie Odom Jr.
Okay.
And I said, buy it. Buy the ticket. You if you can see the original company of Hamilton, I don't care what you're paying. I really would have paid anything. Luckily, I knew Leslie and got on the wait list for a ticket off Broadway. But yeah, it's such a privilege to be a part of a show like that, and especially right now when everyone's just so grateful to be back in the theater.
Yeah, man, I know so many people who are so excited to have theater back. after for so long, because streaming just didn't work for me in terms of watching, and I need the live experience.
It's a community experience. That's most of what makes it what it is that we're all in the room together and it's happening that one and only time. And the audience is a part of that. My character, King George, just speaks to the audience, not to other characters on stage. That's, the communication goes from King George to the audience. So you need an audience, in my opinion, in the theater to make it what it is.
You played gay on American Princess. Can you talk briefly about that?
Yeah. I play mostly gay characters and
Okay.
everything I do. And I love getting to play different gay characters. I love that character was much more particular and, was, very scholarly. He was playing Shakespeare at the Renaissance Fair and had a lot of love, turmoil, and didn't know how to let loose. And, Daniel is, this character is different because he's just 18 and he's, a mess, but he is probably just as big of a nerd. And maybe that's my typecasting. I'm the gay nerd. Whenever they need a gay nerd, they call me.
So you live in Los Angeles with your son. What's the last year and a half been like in terms of trying to work and just navigating the world, the uncertain waters?
Yeah, well, my husband and I moved to Los Angeles from New York. We were living there for about 10 years and adopted our son when the day he was born about 2.5 years ago. And we were so lucky that we have a nice place to live and that I was able to have this job throughout the pandemic. And it's been difficult, just like it has, isolation has been for everyone. But what I will say is when everyone was complaining about being bored, that was not my experience. No toddler will let you be bored, not one moment.
Exactly.
I was hoping for boredom. But it was so good because we were able to bond as a family in a way that, you got to make, as Diane would say, take the lemons and make Mike's hard lemonade.
Exactly.
And really had an amazing time for that year.
So what are you working on next?
Well, I'm doing more episodes of Central Park, another animated show I do on Apple, and I'm performing 8 times a week in Hamilton. And have some other projects hopefully coming up as things get more and more work is happening. But for now, I'll be at the Pantages in Hamilton playing King George.
Congratulations. So when do you think you'll hear about a season 2 of this show?
I don't know. As soon as everyone watching this watches Chicago Party Ant, then I'm sure the numbers will come through and we'll get another season. So please watch.
Exactly. Rory O'Malley, thanks for joining us. The show is Chicago Party Ant. It debuts on Netflix September 17th, and it's very, very funny. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Jim.
Take care.